A slave does not expect anything from his master. A world of difference between the two. A servant is a part-time employee. A slave is 100% slave to his master. So the first trait of those Ibadur Rahman is they acknowledge that they themselves are slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that suggest? That they have to honor the will and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala no matter what. So willingly, out of their own personal choice, they decided to submit their will to the will of Allah. Meaning they will honor all of Allah's commands without rejecting any of them. And that in itself is the essence of Iman or faith. That's the essence of Iman. To believe in an unseen deity who tells you to do things in which you yourself accept and follow. That's the essence of Iman. And they're ready to fulfill all of God's commands. They don't reject any of His commands. That's why you find, as part of the definition of Al-Iman al-Mujmal, which is آمنت بالله كما هو بأسمائه وصفاته وقبلت جميع أحكامه إقرار باللسان وتصديق بالقلب. I believe in Allah as He is in His names and attributes, and they have accepted all of Allah's commands. They don't reject any of His commands. They say on the tip of their tongue that we believe, but they confirm that with their actions. Those are Ibadur Rahman. They are the ones who are alert and ready to respond to the command of the Lord at any time or as required by the Lord. The second trait or quality of Ibadur Rahman. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. And the slaves of Ar-Rahman are those who walk on earth humbly, not arrogantly. And the slaves of the most compassionate are those who walk on earth in humility. They are humble. You don't see any signs of arrogance, and you can tell by the way they walk. The way people walk define who they are. As a matter of fact, maybe some of you may recall and remember, after 9/11, particularly on September 20th. September 20th was a very significant date in the history of the United States of America. This is when George Bush gave his ultimatum, either with us or against us. We're going to wage war. But before he addressed the whole world, what to speak of the nation, they showed him coming out from wherever, walking into the place where he gave his address. Maybe some of you may remember, but I will never forget what I had seen, and I had made a comment actually. I said, look at this arrogant man. Visit footage before and on that day, and you will notice the difference. Before, he was just like an ordinary man, walking just like ordinary people. On that day, he walked boasting with his chest and head up and walking like that, and just walking as though he is the sole supreme power on earth. And guess what? He really felt that. He felt on that day he was the most powerful individual on the face of the earth. And it showed through the way he walked. No, Ibadur Rahman aren't like that. Ibadur Rahman are humble, they walk humbly, and they are not arrogant. As a matter of fact, this walking humbly is one of the 10 Quranic commandments. You find in Surah Al-Isra, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّكَ لَن تَخْرِقَ الْأَرْضَ وَلَن تَبْلُغَ الْجِبَالَ طُولًا. Don't walk arrogantly in the land, for you will never be able to penetrate the earth, nor will you be able to reach the mountain heights. In other words, yeah, maybe if you stretch yourself and boast, you may gain an inch. but you will never reach those mountain heights, nor will you be able to penetrate, meaning you'll have the power to do what you want to do. You're still subjected to Allah, your master, in which you have been ignorant of. This is one of our commandments. وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Don't you walk haughtily, arrogantly on earth. Again, we find, to show you how important it is, even Luqman, in addressing his son and admonishing him, what did he say to him? Many things. Among the things he said to him, وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. Oh my son, don't you turn your cheek away from people in false pride. Or in other words also, don't you speak to people with half turning towards them. Have you seen people sometimes, they ignore you, they don't look at you, and they speak to you kind of like that. This is a sign of arrogance. And here, Luqman is telling his son, don't do that. This is not a good attitude. People look at you as arrogant, and they will not respect you. وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. And don't walk haughtily or arrogantly in the land. Why? إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. Allah does not love those who boast and are arrogant. Now regarding الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا, let me just share with you what Ibn Kathir wrote and Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah. Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah has said while explaining this ayah that the organs of sincere believers are always humble before Allah. So much so that the one who is not familiar with them feels that they are sick or disabled while they are fit and healthy. As a matter of fact, it is the awe of God which has overtaken them and which has not struck the others. It is the fright of the hereafter which has refrained them from unnecessary mundane practices. Those who do not have faith in God and keep themselves engrossed in worldly affairs suffer only with disappointment because they do not get the desired result in this world and lose their share in the hereafter as well. And those who regard sustenance as the only reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and neglect practicing morality have indeed very little understanding, and for them there is a great punishment. So first trait, they are slaves of Allah. Second trait, they walk humbly on earth. Third trait, وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And when the ignorant people talk to them, speak to them, they reply in a peaceful, in a calm manner. Or another interpretation, they say peace to them. Now the word ignorant here means that someone who acts ignorant, they know, but they are acting ignorantly. These people are perhaps jealous at those Abdur Rahman. So they want to find any opportunity to just sit down and argue with them. And you see this happen all the time. They argue about matters of the deen. They want to show that they know more. And the attitude of these Abdur Rahman, first of all, they recognize that these people are arguing for the sake of argument only. And these Abdur Rahman have no time to waste with them. So they say, okay, peace be with you, brother. Assalamu alaikum. It's okay. You keep your arguments to yourself, that's fine. Or they speak to them in a soft manner, in a calm manner. They try to respond to them, but not in an arrogant way, not in a way that lest perhaps they start yelling at each other, or whatever happens, these Ibadur Rahman may feel like, oh my God, I may have offended him, thus incurring sins on myself. So they're always conscious of the way they treat and the way they deal with other people, particularly those who are ignorant. So they reply in a calm manner and they maintain their calm. And that is the third trait or quality. What's the fourth quality? وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا.